All right, hello and welcome to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert and I'm your host. And today's topic is to mask or not to mask. That is the question. I have with me Lisa Kennedy. Lisa, would you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Lisa Kennedy. I have a salon suite in Austin, Texas, and we are currently going through the to mask or not to mask dilemma here in Texas.
All right, well, for all of you who wonder why we're talking about this, if you're not dealing with the stress of trying to figure out how to handle the changes in mask policies, or you're just stressed out and you'd like to know if there are other people that are dealing with the same stress, we just want you to know you're not alone. Today we're not necessarily talking about whether we should or shouldn't mask, more how we're dealing with it, and that could be, take it all off or keep it all on, whatever. But anyway, so Lisa and I were talking just before the show, and some interesting stuff I didn't know about what's happening in Texas and how that whole thing played out. So why don't you give us a little, let the viewer know, for people who aren't paying attention to what happened in Texas and how the mask situation has changed and shifted for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Texas is kind of like the Wild West still. There's a lot of people who have very strong opinions, and depending on who you talk to, who sits down in my chair every day, the opinions could be on one side and the other side. And that's opinions on masks and whether or not to wear them. So it was really difficult for me as a salon suite owner to decide what I was going to do about my mask policy. And in March, our governor decided that Texas was no longer, he lifted the mask mandate. And that was in March. I mean, that was really soon for a lot of people. We weren't ready. In my opinion, businesses weren't ready to just say, okay, done, starting tomorrow, no more masks. Because we've had 18 months of wear your mask, wear your mask, wear your mask. It's important, you have to wear your mask. So then all of a sudden overnight to say, guess what? It's not necessary anymore.
Yeah.
So from about March until May, when the CDC finally said, you know what, it's actually okay for you not to wear your mask if you've had your vaccines. We've had that transition of all through March or through April of what are we going to do? We've had time we're thinking about it. Each individual suite is its own business. So I could walk down to the break room and see 4 or 5 salon suites who have already decided to not wear masks. And here I am all masked up thinking, oh, I better stay away from those rooms because they're not wearing masks, because that's what our teachings were, like stay away from people without masks on. Right. So it was really difficult. I felt as a business owner torn of what should I do for my business, and why am I the one that has to decide this, right? It's a lot of pressure for me to make a decision that will affect other people's health, right? So that was difficult. And, we decided as the salon suite that during those 2 months, you had to wear your mask in the hallways, because not everybody was comfortable not wearing a mask. There were people that were comfortable not wearing the masks, and people who really still wanted to wear them. So it's like prohibition, right? All of a sudden they say drinking's allowed. And then there were the people going, yeah, let's take some shots. This is great. And then the other people were like, wait a minute, you just told us alcohol is going to kill us. What are we going to do?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There's a transition period of people getting comfortable with the non-mask policy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had my vaccines, and so I felt like, okay, well, I think after a certain amount of time, I'm going to not wear my mask. When is that going to be? And that was when I started having my conversations with my clients saying, how do you feel about wearing your mask? Because we're in this little salon suite together for about 2 hours. How do you feel about it? And it was really good to get their feedback. Because like I said, Texas, there are strong opinions on both sides.
Yeah.
And I had an apprentice, and, she told me, she said, how would I feel if I gave COVID to this 70-year-old client, and she goes and sees her grandbaby. I mean, and now she's giving COVID, and it was her fault. So she was worried about doing that. So she ended up getting her vaccines. I know vaccines is kind of controversial, but the policy says that if you've had 2 of your vaccines, you're able to not wear your mask. And I think now that it's mid-June, it's 100 degrees in Texas. I think people have had the transition period from March to now of, okay, I think I'm comfortable maybe not wearing my mask. Let's see how that feels. And, I actually have a story where the neighbors, we decided to take the kids to an arcade. And it was one of those big arcades that had the bowling and the laser tag and the rock climbing walls and the restaurant and everything.
Sounds
and
amazing.
Finally, let's all go out and do something. It's been
Yeah.
a year and a half. Let's go socialize. We've been wanting to do this for so long. And we get there, and it was after the CDC said you don't have to wear a mask if you've been vaccinated. And I walk in there, and the first time to be in a crowded place, and I freak out. And I put my mask on, and my eyes are this big, and I'm going, what am I doing? There is COVID in this building. And here I am bringing my children to this place. And it was very difficult for me. And then I started having remorse. Like, what am I doing? I'm sending them into the arcade where they're going to touch all the buttons on the games and put the VR Star Wars mask over their face. I really had a panic. And my husband's like, hey, they have beer. Have a beer. It's fine. We're out. This is great. Just chill out. I'm thinking, no, this is my death sentence right here. But it was hard that first time when you take the kids out in this crowded environment. I really struggled. Like, am I making the right choice? Should I wait longer? I don't know how much longer to wait. And my husband just said, you know what, we're here, let's have fun. And we followed all the rules. So this is allowed now.
Yeah.
So
you brought up a couple of good points. Well, one, all this, there's a lot of controversy around all of this. And I kind of like how you're approaching it, which is more about how people feel. I've been telling my guests at the salon that that I'm not really thinking about science. I'm not thinking about politics. I'm thinking about 2 things. One thing, what's best for the business, and what's best for the business is that my guests want to come in. So like, I don't care what your politics are. And so I like that you said you asked your guests how they feel. And because we had at the salon, I'm a manager at we had a big debate. There were some pretty deep divisions. Like, some people were so over it, and those people's guests were super over it. So they were like the loudest ones. All of my guests, I said, look, I don't really I just want everyone to feel comfortable. I don't want to just make a decision based on my own opinion. And after we had a meeting, it got pretty heated and it got kind of loud. But we walked out of there with a compromise saying, we'll keep the masks on for a couple weeks. DC just opened up 100% 2 Fridays ago. So we sent out a survey to all of our guests and asked them, we have a collective where everybody is independent and we all agree on one customer experience and one brand promise. So we have to make these type of decisions together. And that's kind of what the group came up with. Wait a couple weeks, send out a survey, and then find out what people think. And our situation was 50-50. So we decided to keep our masks on. But I know that's been a pretty stressful situation because you got to explain yourself constantly. I don't know, did you find that, or because you have that one-on-one and more intimate experience and relationship with your guests, did you get much pushback or battle from any of your guests?
Well, I'm glad you did that survey because you kind of took the temperature of your clients. You kind of figured out where they stood on the mask policy because for DC just opening up 100%, it's still fresh. You're still going through, you're in the first few steps of that transition. Where here in Austin, we opened up, I don't even know when, it was so long ago. And it was our choice as Austinites of whether or not you go out or not, because they wanted to open everything back up again. And I do feel that it's going to get hot there in DC. People are going to not want to wear their masks in the heat. And I think it's just going to slowly transition. People are going to have to go through those panics of, okay, here I am at the grocery store. I'm not wearing my mask. Okay, I'm going to do it and see how it feels.
Right.
So for the salons, I walked down to the large chair salon near the salon suites because I wanted to ask them a question. And I walked all the way down there and I looked in and I saw one hairstylist wearing a mask. And I thought, oh, they must still be wearing masks. So I walked back up and grabbed my mask and came back down and put it on. And then I walked in, the receptionist did not have a mask on. I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to leave my mask on because I see that person over there, the stylist is wearing his. Maybe I'll leave it on for 5 minutes while I ask this question. And I bet you in 2 or 3 weeks, if I go back down there again, maybe they will all have become comfortable enough to not wear their masks. And I just think everyone's on their own transition of comfort level of when they want to finally take it off. And this is something, Robert, I don't think you'll understand, but wearing a mask is like wearing a bra, right? It's supportive, it's comfortable, you feel safe. And now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, just take them off. You don't need them anymore. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on just a minute. Let me see how this feels. Let me see if I want to do this or not. I don't know. Hold on. So it's just not something you can just rip off and throw in the trash for some people.
I agree. And I think that's another really good point. Even if you're an employee, I still consider you having like your own business. Like you might not be independent, your taxes might not say so, but like you have to worry about your customers, and if don't think about your customers, then you're not going to have financial stability. And if you don't have financial stability, you're going to be a mess. So I think it makes a lot of sense to keep in touch with the customers. And I think the thing that you said about the arcade, that it reminds me of one of my guests told me that she was getting an award. No, she was going to an event, the first maskless event. And it was for like the Chamber of Commerce. And she said, as she was getting ready, she starts having like a lot of anxiety and like a mini little panic attack because she starts thinking about the fact that she's going to be in this room with a bunch of people without their masks. And then I'm probably not telling the story exactly, but her ride shows up and she gets in the car and she's like thinking of, once she gets there, her friends are really like, oh, you look great. You look amazing. So some of that started to go away. And then she got into the fun mode. She said that after that, she just had that little like thing to break through. And now she's totally fine not wearing a mask. But she has no problem wearing a mask if it makes the people around her feel comfortable.
Absolutely. And that's my policy at the salon suite is, I have my drawer of masks right here. If you want one or if I want one, and the clients, my policy is the clients are optional, right? They get to choose whether or not they wear a mask. And I don't have one, but if they come in and want to keep their mask on, I'll ask if they want me to put one on because I can wear one for 2 hours. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So now when they come in, they have their mask and they see me and they go, oh, so we don't have to wear masks. And I go, no. And they go, oh yeah, this is so nice. Right. So they're relieved.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I can see your face. You're smiling. This is so wonderful. I missed your smile. Right. And some clients, I haven't even seen their face yet.
Yeah.
So I was meeting a pen pal for the first time in person.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you look like. You look great.
I gotta adjust the haircut a little bit.
Right. Oh, you said chin length. Right. Yes. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So okay, cool. This is good. So, one other thing. That the story of your story about the arcade and my story about the guests that go into the event. I think that is like for anybody who is sitting there wondering, like, I still don't feel like I don't know how to move forward. You know, if you've already checked the pulse of your guests, and if you decided based on that pulse check that it's not time to take the masks off. The question is, like, when should you ask their guests again? You might see a significant percentage of people within a matter of weeks. How long did it take you until you felt like the majority of people didn't want to wear masks? From the time, I mean, you had two announcements, one from the governor and then one from CDC.
Right. So the governor announcement was in March and the CDC announced theirs in May. And I decided in the beginning of June to stop wearing my mask.
Okay.
And my thought process was, you know what? I have been good. I have worn my mask like I was supposed to. I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't traveled anywhere for a year and a half. I stayed home like I was supposed to. I've washed my hands 1,000 times a day. I did what I was supposed to, and I got my vaccine. So I deserve to get the perks of not having to wear my mask and not have any breakouts anymore and buy some lipstick, right? I deserve that. I did what I was supposed to do. And now they say I don't have to wear my mask because I've been vaccinated. Then I should be able to enjoy that.
So was that right on just after the announcement from the CDC, or is that
in
before?
June? So I think the announcement came from June, and the announcement from the CDC was in May.
Okay.
And I think everyone was still kind of shocked and getting used to it. And then in June, it got really hot in Texas. And I just thought, you know what, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done face sweating all day.
Yeah.
I would like to not have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think this is pretty good. And, I think we covered all the points. You have any other additional stuff, or maybe some words of encouragement or advice for anybody that's struggling with this decision or how to move forward?
Absolutely. If someone's struggling with whether or not they want to wear their mask, I would say just keep wearing it until you're comfortable not wearing it. And the people who are not wearing masks, understand that it's a transition. We each have our story of when we decided not to wear it and the anxiety we felt, and then the kind of the joy of being social again kind of took over, and the realization, like, yes, we can get back to somewhat normal of interaction with people and festivals and groups and restaurants and at the hair salon, being with a lot of people. So it's a transition for everyone. I think everyone's on their own timeline. I don't think there's the tension as there was before of wearing the mask or not to wear the mask, where there's confrontations. I think that's finished. I think that you don't have to worry about someone confronting you about whether or not you wear your mask. I think the majority of people would have empathy, saying, okay, well, that person is still on their way to getting comfortable again without wearing their mask.
Yeah. And I guess the biggest challenge would be if you were in a salon and you weren't comfortable being in the salon without your mask on, and the salon owner made the decision to make the masks optional. I guess that would be the biggest challenge.
But it's optional. I mean, that means that person can still wear their mask.
Yeah.
So I guess there's still some people in the salon suites with their masks on, and that's fine. It's not.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's still people at the grocery store that wear theirs.
Yeah. So
no big deal.
And here in DC, where things might be a little different, a lot of people have been concerned about being in a room with people not wearing their mask, even if they have their masks on. As far for those people, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, what's your choice? You can keep your mask on and pray, and make sure you get your whatever you need to do to make you feel better. But you might also be in a tight spot where you feel like you can't go back to work,
Right. That's true.
So, but what I try to tell everybody, like the people who don't want the mask or people who want to keep the mask, I tell everybody, I don't think this is going to be going on. This transitional period is going to be going on that long. And, do your best to stay safe and sane because they're both important. It's not just about the virology or
Mhm.
public safety. It's about mental health as well. And
Absolutely.
so,
And you're not alone. I mean, everybody is empathizing with a lot of other people more so than normal right now.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to discuss this topic. And I think a lot of people get something out of it. And yeah,
Thank you.
until next time.
Absolutely.
All right. See ya.